You are a slave. Yes, you watching this video right now. You wake up every morning and put on a mask, not because you want to, but because you're terrified of what people might think if they saw the real you. Friedrich Nietzsche called this spiritual slavery. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how your desperate need to be liked is the very prison that keeps you from experiencing true freedom. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will either liberate you or make you incredibly uncomfortable. But as Nietzsche himself said, if you're not willing to be hated, you'll never be free. If you're new here, this is where we dive deep into philosophy that actually matters. Philosophy that can transform how you live, think, and show up in the world. Today we're exploring one of Nietzsche's most revolutionary ideas, one that cuts straight to the heart of why most people live lives of quiet desperation. This isn't just philosophy for philosophy's sake. This is about understanding why you feel trapped, why you feel like you're living someone else's life, and most importantly, what you can do about it. But before we begin, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button. Not because I need you to like me, but because if you're ready to hear uncomfortable truths, you belong here. And ring that notification bell, because YouTube's algorithm loves to hide videos that challenge people to think differently. Let me start with a simple question. When was the last time you said exactly what you thought without filtering it to the question, what will people think? Can't remember? That's because you've been living a lie. We all have. Friedrich Nietzsche, writing in 19th century Germany, saw something that most philosophers missed. He realized that the greatest tyranny wasn't coming from kings or governments. It was coming from something far more insidious, our own desperate need for approval. Think about your day yesterday. How many times did you post something on social media and immediately check for likes? Hold back your real opinion in a conversation? Dress a certain way to fit in? Agree with people you actually disagreed with? Every single time you did this, you traded a piece of your authentic self for the illusion of social acceptance. Nietzsche called this herd mentality, and he saw it as the greatest threat to human potential. But here's what's truly disturbing. You probably didn't even notice you were doing it. That's how deep this programming goes. You've been trained, like a circus animal, to perform for approval. And the cage you're in, it's invisible, which makes it the most effective prison ever created. Nietzsche didn't just observe this phenomenon. He dissected it like a master surgeon. He understood that our need to be liked isn't just a harmless quirk. It's a form of psychological enslavement that destroys everything that makes us human. Let me explain how this slavery works. First, you have a thought, feeling, or desire. This is your authentic self trying to express itself. But before you can act on it, your internal critic, what Nietzsche might call your internal herd, jumps in with questions. What will people think? Will this make me look weird? Am I going to offend someone? Will this hurt my reputation? So you suppress that authentic impulse and replace it with something safer, something that won't rock the boat. You become a performer in your own life, playing a character that you think others want to see. But here's the kicker. You start to believe that this character is you. You lose touch with your authentic self so completely that you don't even know what you really think, feel, or want anymore. Nietzsche called this the death of the individual. You become what he termed the last man, someone who has traded everything unique and powerful about themselves for the comfort of fitting in. Now, imagine Nietzsche's horror if he could see social media today. Every platform is designed to turn you into an approval-seeking machine. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they're all built on the same principle. Perform for likes, comments, and shares. You curate your life to look perfect. You filter your photos. You craft captions designed to get the most engagement. You present a version of yourself that you think will be most acceptable to the masses. And what happens to your real self? It suffocates. It dies a slow death, buried under layers of performance and pretense. But the real tragedy isn't just personal. It's civilizational. When everyone is trying to be liked, when everyone is playing it safe, when everyone is afraid of being hated, we lose the very people who could change the world. Think about every great breakthrough in human history. The person behind it was hated by someone, often by lots of people. Galileo was hated by the church. Darwin was hated by religious fundamentalists. Martin Luther King Jr. was hated by racists. Steve Jobs was hated by competitors and critics. They all understood something that most people never learn: to create something meaningful, to live authentically, to make a real difference. You must be willing to be disliked, criticized, and yes, even hated. Now we come to the heart of Nietzsche's insight, and it's going to sound paradoxical at first. True freedom comes from accepting hatred, not avoiding it. This isn't about being a jerk or trying to offend people for the sake of it. This is about something much more profound. It's about reclaiming your right to exist as yourself, regardless of whether others approve. Here's what Nietzsche understood that most people don't. The moment you stop needing everyone to like you is the moment you become truly free. Why? Because you're no longer a slave to other people's opinions. Think about it logically. If your happiness, your sense of self-worth, and your decisions depend on what other people think, then other people control your life. You're not free. You're a puppet dancing to the tune of public opinion. But the moment you say, I'm willing to be disliked, I'm willing to be criticized, I'm willing to be hated if that's what it takes to be authentic, in that moment, you cut the strings. You become the master of your own existence. Nietzsche called this courage nobility of spirit. It's the willingness to stand alone when everyone else is sitting down. It's the strength to say what needs to be said when everyone else is silent. It's the audacity to be yourself when everyone else is being someone else. But let me be clear, this isn't easy. Standing alone is terrifying. Being hated hurts. Criticism stings. This is why most people choose the comfort of conformity over the challenge of authenticity. Nietzsche wasn't asking you to enjoy being hated. He was asking you to be willing to accept it as the price of freedom. Because make no mistake, there is a price. Freedom isn't free, and authenticity isn't comfortable. Here's a brutal test of how authentic you really are. What would you do, say, or create if you knew that half the people who saw it would hate it? If that question makes you uncomfortable, you're not alone, but your discomfort reveals something important. You're still a slave to the approval of others. The truly free person doesn't ask, will people like this? They ask, is this true? Is this mine? Does this reflect who I really am? So, how do you break free from this prison of approval seeking? Nietzsche didn't just diagnose the problem. He pointed toward the solution. But I'm warning you now, this path is not for the weak. Step 1, face your authentic self. The first step is the hardest. You have to discover who you really are underneath all the masks and performances. This requires what Nietzsche called radical honesty, the courage to face yourself without the comforting lies you tell yourself. Ask yourself these questions and answer them honestly. What do I really believe about life, success, relationships? Meaning, what do I really want, not what I think I should want? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail and couldn't be criticized? What parts of my current life am I living for others rather than myself? This process is painful because you'll discover that much of what you thought was you is actually just a collection of other people's expectations that you've internalized. Step 2, start small but start. You don't have to revolutionize your entire life overnight. Freedom is built through small acts of courage, not grand gestures. Start expressing your real opinions in low-stakes situations. Stop laughing at jokes that aren't funny. Wear what you want to wear. Share ideas that matter to you, even if they're unpopular. Each time you choose authenticity over approval, you're building what Nietzsche called strength of will. You're training yourself to value your own judgment over crowd's opinion. Step 3, embrace the discomfort. When you start living authentically, people will react. Some will be confused. Some will be critical. Some might even hate what you're doing. This is not a bug, it's a feature. Their discomfort is evidence that you're breaking free from the matrix of social conformity. Their criticism is proof that you're no longer dancing to their tune. Nietzsche would say, "Good, let them hate. Their hatred is the price of your freedom, and it's worth paying." Step 4. Find your tribe. Here's something beautiful that happens when you start being authentic. You attract people who appreciate the real you. Not everyone will like you, but the people who do will like you for who you actually are, not for the character you've been playing. These are your real people. These are the relationships worth having. Quality over quantity, always. Now we reach the pinnacle of Nietzsche's philosophy, what he called the path to becoming who you truly are. This isn't just about personal freedom. It's about joining the ranks of what he called free spirits, those rare individuals who have the courage to create their own values and live by them, beyond good and evil. Nietzsche's most radical insight was this: most of what we call good and evil are just social constructs designed to keep people in line. The truly free person moves beyond these artificial categories and creates their own moral framework based on what enhances life, growth, and authentic expression. This doesn't mean becoming amoral or cruel. It means taking responsibility for your own ethical development instead of blindly following rules that others have created. The creator's responsibility. When you free yourself from the need for approval, you become something powerful and dangerous. A creator. Not just of art or content, but of values, meaning, and new ways of being human. This comes with tremendous responsibility. You're no longer following someone else's script. You're writing your own. This is both terrifying and exhilarating. The Übermensch concept. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, often mistranslated as Superman, isn't about being superior to others. It's about being superior to your former self. It's about becoming someone who has overcome the need for external validation and has learned to validate themselves. The Übermensch creates their own meaning, their own values, their own purpose. They don't ask, "What should I do?" They ask, "What do I choose to do?" If Nietzsche thought it was hard to be free in the 19th century, imagine what he would think of our current moment. We live in an age of unprecedented social pressure, where every opinion is public, every mistake is permanent, and the mob can come for you at any moment. Social media has created what I call a digital panopticon, a prison where everyone is watching everyone else, and everyone is performing for everyone else. The pressure to conform, to avoid saying the wrong thing, to maintain your brand is enormous. But this also creates an enormous opportunity. In a world where everyone is afraid to be authentic, the person who has the courage to be real stands out like a beacon. Furthermore, today's cancel culture is just a new form of the old social control that Nietzsche was fighting against. It's the herd using shame and social exile to keep individuals in line. But here's what Nietzsche would say about cancel culture. Let them try to cancel you. If your ideas have merit, if your character has strength, if your purpose is true, you will survive, and you will be stronger for having been tested. The fear of being canceled keeps millions of people from expressing their authentic thoughts and beliefs. But the truly free person says, "Cancel me if you must, but I will not silence myself to make you comfortable." Let me be brutally honest with you about what choosing this path means. Nietzsche never promised that freedom would be easy or comfortable. In fact, he warned that it would be the opposite, the price you'll pay. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will criticize you harshly. Some relationships will end. You'll face loneliness at times. You'll doubt yourself. Society will pressure you to conform. This is not a path for everyone. Most people will choose the comfort of conformity over the challenge of authenticity, and that's their choice to make. But for those brave enough to pay the price, the rewards are beyond measure. You'll know who you really are. You'll attract people who love the real you. You'll create work that matters. You'll live without regret. You'll have the respect of people worth respecting. You'll experience the deep satisfaction that comes from living authentically. Most importantly, you'll have something that most people never experience. Genuine self-respect. Not the fragile self-esteem that depends on others' approval, but the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you've had the courage to be yourself. So I'll ask you the same question that Nietzsche's philosophy poses to everyone. What kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to spend your days seeking approval, hiding your true thoughts, performing for likes and shares, living in fear of criticism? Or do you want to join the ranks of the free spirits, those who have found the courage to be hated in service of being real? Let me leave you with this final thought from Nietzsche himself. You have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. The path to freedom isn't about following another set of rules or trying to please a different crowd. It's about finding the courage to write your own rules, to please yourself, and to accept the consequences of living authentically. This isn't philosophy for everyone. If you're comfortable with your current life, if seeking approval brings you joy, if conformity feels safe and satisfying, then stay where you are. There's no shame in that choice. But if you feel that restless stirring in your soul, if you're tired of living for others, if you're ready to discover who you really are underneath all the masks and performances, then you're ready to embrace Nietzsche's challenge. You're ready to accept that if you're not willing to be hated, you'll never be free. If this video resonated with you, if it challenged you, if it made you uncomfortable in all the right ways, then you know what to do. Subscribe to this channel, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and keep exploring these ideas with me. Until next time, stay free, stay authentic, and remember, the opinion that matters most is your own.